I'm gonna break down how this one call script books 15 plus roof estimate appointments every single day. I'm gonna be clear about something. This is not a cold calling script. This script is designed for inbound calls, inbound leads that come through your ads. With this exact same framework, our team is booking 50% or more of lead form leads. Usually the lead form lead booking rate is less than half of that, because lead form is great for volume, not always great for quality. So you need to have a very dialed in call team structure and a script to make sure you're getting best of both worlds. The reason why most roofers fail with ads is because they treat their leads like they're referrals. They treat their leads like the leads owe them something. They just clicked on an ad. They don't know who you are. They don't trust you yet. So that's why you need to have a dialed in script and a dialed in process to get these people to trust you. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Nick. I'm one of the co-founders of NCT Media. We're a marketing company that helps roofers all across the country book thousands of qualified appointments into their calendar using various marketing strategies that we discuss on this channel. So over the next however many minutes, I'm gonna go over our exact script framework that we use to book thousands of appointments every single month for our clients. And I'm also gonna throw in some little golden nuggets here and there to help you improve your booking rate outside of just the script framework. The first and most important part of any script is gonna be what you say right at the beginning, especially when you're calling leads, right? Because these people don't know you yet. So there's a couple things that we wanna achieve here in section 1, okay? Or, the intro. So what do we want to achieve? So we wanna establish why we're calling, who we are, do it with great tone, and get into discovery as fast as we possibly can. So I'm gonna give you like an example of how simple the intro is and kind of like give you the breakdown behind the psychology so you can understand the reasoning. So I'm gonna give you an example so you can kind of understand how easy it is, and I'll give you a breakdown behind like the psychology of it. So go something like this. Hey Jimmy, what's going on? It's Nick with XYZ Roofing Company. I saw you just clicked on our ad on Facebook or Instagram about you potentially needing a new roof. Tell me what's going on with your roof. Okay, so why we're calling. This is something that I addressed in the beginning, and let me explain where I said it. I'm calling you because you clicked on our ad on Facebook or Instagram, right? So we are psychologically matching like the ad that they just saw, because a big problem with calling leads, and I'm sure you guys know, if you don't have a good process and you don't have good ads, you call a lead and they're like, who are you? I don't remember doing that. So us telling them right in the beginning why we're calling them, like they came from the ad, so we want to remind them that they're coming from the ad. So why? Because of the ad. You filled out an ad. That's why we're calling. Who are we? So name from XYZ Roofing Company, whatever the name is. So who you are, like I'm Nick, or I'm whatever your freaking name is, from XYZ Roofing Company. It once again further ties their mind back to the ad that they saw, because if they saw like an XYZ Roofing Company ad, we are double reminding them like the specific ad that they came from. Because these people, if they clicked on one ad, there's a good chance they're clicking on a couple others. So we don't want to just say like, hey, you clicked on an ad, because they probably clicked on a couple of them. And we don't want there to be this, in the beginning of the conversation of them like trying to remember like why, like what ad, who are you, right? We want to try to close that gap. So we want to tell them your exact name from your exact roofing company, and you saw our ad on Facebook or Instagram. So giving them like the platform that they're clicking the ads on. So that's addressing the who. And then we want to deliver this with a great tone. So if we're on the phone with them and we're like, hey, Jimmy, it's Nick with XYZ Roofing Company. I saw you just clicked on our ad on Facebook or Instagram about you potentially needing a new roof. Well, tell me what's going on with your roof, right? If we have horrible monotone, once again, remind yourselves that these people have no fucking clue who you are, right? So if you don't have friendly tone, we're like, hey, what's going on, Jimmy? It's Nick with XYZ Roofing Company. How you doing? If you don't have a super friendly tone that is easy for them to read, it's going to be very hard for you to psychologically like lower their guard, if that makes sense, right? Because humans, every time we have an interaction with somebody for the first time, we're trying to get like a read on like who these people are. Like, can I trust this person from our past experiences, right? So the way that a way that we do this over the phone is by the tone of voice, right? Because that's the only cue that you would have on an over the phone conversation, right? So if your tone is hard for them to read, hard for them to understand, hard for them to kind of like get an idea of what type of person you are, psychologically, stranger danger goes up and their guard goes up, and they're like still trying to figure out if they can trust you. So we want to establish that trust psychologically right from the get-go of the call by sounding like an actual human. We don't want it to sound like a cold call, you know? Like we're like an actual human, we got our own lives, we're not just some robot sitting in an office just cold calling like a list. Hey, what's going on, Jimmy? How you doing, man? Hey, what's going on, Jimmy? Or hey, what's going on, Jimmy? Like, you see the difference? All right, so for tone, I'm just gonna put sound human. Not that hard. Actually, it is for some people. You'd be surprised. Discovery. So at the end of my intro, I'm saying, so tell me what's going on with your roof. Because we want this call to be problem focused. Like we don't want them to be like, hey, what's the price? Like, or like go straight to price or some other topic that they might think of, right? We want this call to be focused on the problem that they're seeing. Because the entire objective of our call is we want to increase their pain threshold. We kind of want to twist the knife on like, you're seeing a leak or your roof's pretty old or, your insurance company is telling you they're going to kick you off the policy. We're kind of just twisting the knife because we want to break that pain past our booking threshold, which is this line that I just drew. If we can get the pain, which is this slope, to pass the booking threshold, they're going to book an appointment. And if we are really good at what we do, we're going to build their pain high at a very high rate, right? We're going to get people to feel a need to book. If they're just kind of searching around for pricing and just kind of curious and we don't establish that problem, they're not going to book. They're going to hang up the phone. All right, so in section 2, we're going to go over discovery. So we initiated discovery by the end of our intro by asking them what's going on with the roof, but I want to go over like what we need to achieve. So there are 2 major objectives that we need to make sure we completely nail in the discovery process. Because if we miss this in the discovery process, you're either going to book in a lead that's unqualified or you're going to miss something in the discovery and cause you to not book a lead that is qualified. So we want to make sure, 1, that they are qualified for a new roof and they have an actual need for one. So we want to make sure they're qualified and they have a need, right? Because if they have a need, like their roof has a gaping hole in it, but they're not qualified to get it fixed, like they have horrible credit or they don't have homeowners insurance or they have zero money, there's no point in booking them in. And then the other way around, if they're qualified, they got cash, they have good credit, they have homeowners insurance, but they have no damage, there's also no point in booking them in. So the questions we need to ask them to make sure they're qualified, like mostly like financial type things. So like credit, insurance, like depending on your guys' approach, like if you guys are like storm chasers, like obviously like you're gonna ask them like more insurance-based questions, like who's your provider, do you have active homeowners insurance, stuff like that. And then credit, you got 650 plus, okay, perfect, sounds good. So also like if they're the owner of the home. So we want to make sure that they're a decision maker. They need to have like all of these things, to make sure that they're actually qualified. To make sure they have a need, this is more like asking them like discovery questions about the roof itself. So like how old is it, damage, stuff like that. And there's like a lot of sub questions that we can ask in like under that. So like, you notice any other damage? And if they're like, I got a leak, we're like, well, how long you had the leak for? Like, do you notice any other damage, like leak marks, mold, rotting wood, like any further damage? They might not know, but it's good to ask those questions. So all like the sub questions under damage as well. And then the third category of the discovery, this is the most important for booking the call. So assuming these 2 things are good, like they're qualified and they got a need, we want to go into their past experience. So if they're qualified and they have a need for the roof, both of those things add up. This is the most important thing. We want to go into their past experience. We want to make sure that we understand absolutely every interaction they've ever had with a roofer, ever, right? Because we want to know if they have like any outstanding quotes, if they have anybody come out and take a look at it or anything like that. If they got it replaced in the past or this is their first time getting it replaced. So I ask these past experience questions, like when I go down the ladder, when I ask about their damage, it's just the easiest when you do it that way. So if you ask them like, hey, like what's going on with your roof? And then they're like, well, I got some missing shingles. And then we're like, okay, how long have you been missing shingles for? And they're like, I don't know, like 6 months. And then we're like, well, have you had anybody come out and take a look, or is this your first time kind of exploring options? And they're like, oh yeah, we actually had a guy come out and take a look like 3 weeks ago. Like 3 weeks ago and you're still missing some shingles. What was up with that guy? Did he smell funny or did he just give you like a weird bummy quote? And they're like, oh, he gave us a quote that was like out of this world. We're like, so, I mean, what did that quote look like? I'm gonna see if I can beat it. That was $30,000, So like you see how much information that we're getting about their past experience? Because if we don't get that past experience information, like before we book the appointment, your sales guys are gonna walk into that appointment blindly. Like they're gonna walk into an appointment thinking that they're the first roofer, and little do they know there's like 4 other outstanding quotes that you guys can't really compete with, right? So it's really good to understand what that past experience is as you're booking the appointment, so you can understand like where you're coming from. Like if you know that you're competing with a quote that you can't beat on price, you need to understand when you're going into the appointment, I need to beat them on value. I need to prove to them like how good we are. And that's when, when we book them, we spam them with testimonials, and we have a really dialed in pre-call process, which we went over in, I don't know if it was the last video for you guys, but a previous video that was very recent, which I recommend you take a look, because this all wraps into one, right? So that's why getting their past experience is extraordinarily important. And with these questions as well, like when you're asking about like their qualifications and their needs and their past experiences, it also helps you put the leads into different buckets. And here's what I mean. So it helps you identify if this person's like a tire kicker, or like this is a bucket, okay? This little thing's a bucket. Or if they are a buyer. Like you can kind of identify like where they're at. Like if this person is like they have like all these different quotes, and like if they had 4 roofers come out and they didn't go with 4 roofers, that should be a red flag that we want to ask a lot of questions about. So you got 4 roofers, like what are you hoping to see out of the 5th that you didn't see with the first 4? I love that question. That's a little bonus nugget for you guys, that question, because that instantly pulls the pain points out. That instantly, like you're asking them like what they wish they saw out of the first 4 people. Like if they saw this one thing from one of these 4 people, they would have already gotten their roof done. So you're asking them that. So when you have your sales process, like you have your sales conversation with them, you know that you need to include this one thing with them in the way that you pitch and the way that you're providing value to them. And you know if you could do that successfully, there's a good chance you're going to get them closed. So that's why getting out this context during the set is super important to set you guys up to close at a high rate as well. Now we go in for the booking. This is section 3, the last section. So this is honestly easy. So I'm gonna give you guys like so here's how we frame it. Super, super simple. So we're pretty much like, well, I mean, definitely looks like your roof is in need of help. Like what I can do is I can send somebody out to your house. They're gonna take a look at the roof. They're gonna do a full extensive inspection. They're gonna take a look at everything because we wanna make sure there's no like underlying damage that's causing further issues to the roof. The inspection doesn't take a whole lot of time. Typically takes like 20, 30 minutes for the inspection itself. And then we'll come down from the roof and we'll talk to you about how we're gonna do things, what the pricing looks like. We have very competitive offers, and then we'll take it from there. So what works better for you tomorrow? Morning, evening, or afternoon? So that is how we structure that question. Let me go through why that works super well. So if you notice at the end, I'm not like asking them if they want the booking. I'm telling them what they're gonna do. I'm telling them, hey, we're gonna send a guy out to your house. Morning, evening, or afternoon work better tomorrow, right? So I'm not saying, does sometime this week work? Because if I ask the question that way, they can say, no, it doesn't work. And we're saying sometime this week. So if they say yes, like sometime this week does work, they can say Friday when you're trying to book, when you're calling them on a Monday. So you're booking them 4 days out. So your chances of them showing up decreases the way when you ask the question that way. So when I ask them the question, I'm not asking them what time this week works. I'm asking them, or I'm giving them options of what time tomorrow works. So I'm giving them flexibility in terms of the time slot. I'm not giving them flexibility in terms of the day. If you guys can do same day appointments, even better. You say, so what time today works? Like we can get you in like sometime this afternoon or the evening, like after work, or we're just gonna send a guy to your house and they're gonna take a look, right? The only way that they can answer that question is by answering the options by morning, evening, or afternoon. So no matter how they answer, they're going to it ends up in a booking, if that makes sense, right? And let me go over like those 3 angles that I gave when I was presenting the booking to increase my chances of getting them booked in. And you guys can edit the specifics of it if, to match like what you guys do. But here's how I did it. So if you notice, there was 3 angles. So I had a fear angle, I had a convenience angle. I don't know if I spelled that right. Dropped out of school for this. And then I also had a price slash, I guess you'd call it like a price angle, right? So the fear angle, when I was giving the booking option, I was saying the last thing that we want to have is like there be like underlying damage that are causing further damage to the home. So we're going to do a full extensive inspection and make sure we're all good. So we're building fear. We're twisting the knife. We're increasing the pain threshold by building fear in their mind of what happens if they don't get this checked out, right? And you can even add like social proof, like at some point in the call or even in this point, like one of your neighbors, Megan, she had like this leak and it was causing rotting wood to the structure of her house, and it ended up being like $100,000 repair on top of the roof. So I want to make sure you're all good there, right? So we're increasing fear, trying to get them past that booking threshold, right? And then the convenience. To say like the inspection itself only takes like 20, 30 minutes. Like we pop up on the roof, you don't have to do anything. I'm not gonna throw you up on the roof with me, I promise. If it doesn't take 20, 30 minutes, make it sound more convenient than it actually is, because we wanna reduce the mental friction. We wanna reduce the amount of effort in their mind to get this done. Because if it feels like a big chore to get the inspection booked, you're decreasing your chances of them booking the inspection. So we wanna make the convenience optimized to make sure that they book. And then for price, I say, yeah, so like after the inspection, we're gonna come down, explain the process. We have some very competitive pricing. We have some great warranties. So we'll explain everything about that, right? So with the price, we wanna make them feel like they're gonna be able to take advantage of a good deal. Because especially if they're comparing you apples to apples with other people, other roofers that they're either in the process of booking an appointment with or roofers that they already talked to, we want them to be excited about you. It's like, oh, like they have competitive pricing, right? So whatever way that you can communicate that, like if you guys have special offers, I would include that in this portion as well. Like we're running some like promotions where we're doing like 10% off or like whatever your promotions would be, right? So in their mind, they're gonna be excited. So we're increasing excitement. We're increasing the pain threshold so they book the appointment to solve their problem. And we're also increasing the perceived convenience in their mind so it increases our chances of getting them booked in the first place. And then after this, you got them booked in. So you either booked them in for today or tomorrow or for as soon as humanly possible, because we want to keep the intent high. And now you need to initiate your pre-call process, which we have an entire video going over. This is a huge missing piece that I see lots of roofers completely miss. And it's extremely important for the process to make sure that we're being efficient. So go take a look at that video after you're done with this one, and I'll talk to you soon.